I'm Brittany Charlton, and this is my narrative speech for public speaking online. Um, I've got two visual aids that I'm going to use tonight. Both are pictures. Um, this one is of me and my husband. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about him, about our life together, and how I met him. The other picture is of my grandfather and my grandmother and my children. Um, for me and my husband, I met him whenever I was 13 whenever I first met him. We met at church. Um, we've been through a lot. We've both basically grown up together, which now we have 4 kids. We've been married for 8 years, and we've been together for 11 years. So, of course, we've taught each other a lot. He's been there with me through a lot. He's been my rock through a lot of stuff. Um, he's helped me and supported me in everything that I do. He's been the best man I could have ever asked for a husband, a father to our kids. And then, of course, it brings you to the picture of my grandfather and my grandmother and my children, which is a big part of my life, too. We have been through a lot. Last year, we lost my grandfather, who was more like a father to me. He was had been very sick since I was pregnant with my oldest son, Jackson, who is 7 now. And he passed away last June. Um, it was very different. It was very difficult for our family, and things have changed a lot since then. But my husband has been the rock for me through that. He's helped me cope with that just because my grandfather, which was my papa, that's what I called him, and he was the first man that I ever really loved and that I knew as a father in my life. But he had been very sick since I was pregnant with my oldest Jackson, and he just things just progressively got worse over time. He had an aneurysm that they had been watching for about 4.5 years whenever he passed away last summer. And he would go like every 6 months and get it checked and the size and everything like that. And everything was fine. Or so we thought. When he went back for the last scan, they told him that it had grown and that it was either he only had 3 months to live or they could operate and try to remove it. Okay, well, there was this one surgeon who had removed another aneurysm he had had previously. Great doctor, well, he had moved from Mississippi to Florida. So that's who my grandfather wanted to use. So his doctor here in Mississippi gave him a referral to that doctor in Florida. They left the next day after the scan showing that the aneurysm had grown. He went to see this doctor over in Florida. They agreed they were going to do the surgery. He had one day. All of his kids and my grandmother went with him. As for the rest of us, the grandchildren, we all just waited. We were going to go when they done the procedure so we could see him beforehand and stay for the surgery and see him afterwards. Everything seemed like it was going to be fine. When they got in, they said that everything went good, the surgery was good, that they had placed a stent that was supposed to keep the aneurysm from growing, but there was something like they called it like plaque, so kind of like the aneurysm blew up, I guess you would say, and like this plaque just kind of splurted off into like little small blood clots all throughout his system. Well, it cut off the blood flow to his bowel, and just to all of his major organs. So things, we had all left because everything was fine. Well, then later that night, everything, they could tell that something was off, something wasn't right. So they checked everything again, and that's when they found out that all these little pieces of the plaque had just kind of sparted off in different directions all throughout his body. So for the next 3 weeks, we all just kind of watched and we waited, and different surgeries, it had killed his small intestine, and they had took small pieces and small pieces and small pieces, turned into several different surgeries. But they took all of that, and it got to the point that there was like, even if he goes home, he's gonna have like a colostomy bag, he's gonna be bedridden. There's nothing that he was basically coming home without a life anyway. So the next 3 weeks, we all just watched and waited several trips back and forth from Mississippi to Florida while he was on life support. Things were very hard for all of us. We all had hope. We all prayed. We all wanted what we thought was best. But as the time went on and things grew, I really just started praying for God's will to be done. That, I didn't want him to suffer anymore. I did not want to keep him here. We would not have that quality of life because he had already suffered so much over those 5 years because all he ever knew was work. All he ever knew was work. And when he first got sick, all of that changed. So I felt like everything had been taken from him. What meant so much to him and was his livelihood was gone. So at this point, I just started praying for God's will to be done and that he not suffer anymore. It was very hard for our family, and it's been a big part of my life. It's what's changed a lot about me. But he loved all of his kids and his grandkids and his great grandkids. So he was, I guess, my rock until he was gone. And then when he was gone, my husband became my rock. I know my speech has been a little bit longer than what we normally or what we're supposed to have, but I appreciate you listening, and thank you very much.